Hey all, Southern Sage again. I've mentioned over some of the last few garden videos about clay pot irrigation. So this is a thing I've experimented with a lot, and it's kind of an in vogue. You see a lot of ads on Amazon, or at least I do, for these clay pot, terracotta pot irrigation systems. I've played with them quite a bit. And first, don't spend a lot of money on these. Second, they are really good for some things and less great for others. So I want to share that with you. I also want to tell you a little bit about what it is and how it works and how to do it on the cheap. So let's start with what it is. So clay pot irrigation is an ancient irrigation technique where you take an unglazed terracotta pot, like this one, and bury it in the ground up to its neck, fill it up with water, and then, as anyone who has ever tried to grow a plant in an unglazed terracotta pot will tell you, all the moisture wicks through the side. So it gets the soil around the pot moist. When the soil gets really wet, it stops wicking. As the soil dries out, as the plants take that water up, more water wicks out through the side of the pot. And so in that way, almost all of the water you use for irrigation goes into the plant roots. Whereas when you spray water on the top of the ground, most of it goes into evaporation, right? Very little of it actually gets down in the root zone of the plants. So this is wicked water efficient. So this one is a commercial one that someone gave me as a gift because I would not pay what these cost because I'm a cheapskate, but whatever. Most of the ones I use are homemade. So we can pan over and you can see a selection of ones that I've made. So this is just 2 inexpensive terracotta pots. These came from a yard sale. They aren't that expensive to get at your local home improvement store or Ace Hardware this time of year. And all I did was take one of the pots, take some liquid nails, plug up the drainage hole, put liquid nails all around the top edge, stick the other one on top, take a paper towel and wipe the splooge out from around and let the thing dry. So I fill it up with the drainage hole for the top pot, and it wicks through just like that expensive store-bought one, right? So for like $7, you can make one of these from brand new, and if you find they're at yard sale, you can do it for a lot less than that. So these guys are cool. I have made them in many sizes, as you can probably see. I have very large homemade ones, and I have little bitty homemade ones, and I have the selection of ones I was given that are nice and fancy. So I have tried these in containers. I've tried them in garden beds at different densities. I've tried different sizes of pot for different crops. And this is what I've found. So a small one of these, so, this size or the equivalent with the homemade ones, in a large container, does a really good job keeping it well watered through the day when it's hot. Now, I found that when it was hot, like 115, that it was really hard with the terracotta for it to wick through enough, even when I mulched the top of the container, for it to really keep up with the amount of evaporation, especially on like a big leaf thing like squash and zucchini. It just could not keep up with the transpiration through the terracotta. So the wicking beds are a better choice for that. Go watch that video. However, for in-ground beds, I've tried them on peppers. I've currently got them in my spring peas, my green peas. I've tried them for tomatoes. I've tried them on sweet potatoes. And I have to say, for all of those, they did really well. The only trick is getting the right spacing between the pots so that each plant has enough. So what I found was that this medium-sized store-bought, or its homemade equivalent, right? This guy, so these are, I think, 6 or 8-inch terracotta pots that I glued together. One of those will pretty successfully water 2 or 3 pepper plants, a pair of tomato plants, or 4 hills of sweet potatoes. And that's mostly because sweet potatoes just don't need a lot of fuss, right? Whereas those tomatoes and peppers just suck up a lot of water to make fruit. And that's not bad. So it effectively worked out to, I put these in every 3-ish feet down the center of my 4-foot wide raised beds, topped them off every few days, and my crops thrived. Like, all of the plants did really well with them. So I'm pretty impressed with them. And I have to say, for everything except the 115-degree days, the large containers that I had little ones of these in did super great, like way better than I've ever had with hand watering them in the morning or the afternoon, or trying to keep them well watered that way. So the terracotta pots have done well for me overall. They do take a little bit of care, right? You got to pull them out in the winter time so that they don't freeze and crack, because that's what terracotta will do. And that's why these are all sitting over here by the house, because they haven't gone back into garden beds yet for the season. They will. I actually do have some, and we're going to meander over to that part of the garden and take a look where I have these in my sweet peas. Although I'll tell you, the peas are doing so well, it's really hard to see the pots. But we're going to take a look, and I'll show you how this looks in practice in the garden bed. So here we go. If you look down in here, you can see the top of one of those fancy ones. And then a few feet down the way, if we dig our way through here, you can see one of my homemade ones. And just down from that over here, we can find another homemade one. If you can see it kind of hiding in the vines. Now, as you can see, these plants are very happy. Some of that is because we've had really good spring rain over the last few weeks. Before that, the terracotta pots did a great job getting them up out of the ground, as long as I kept them full. So on the whole, I am a huge fan of these. I plan to get more pots. I may even actually pay retail price to get new terracotta pots to make more of them, because I would like to use them much more extensively in this garden. Water conservation is huge as climate change heats up the world, as we get more droughts, huge rains, followed by big gaps, big dry spells. Like, these things are great. So my eventual plan is I will have a rainwater catchment system for that 3-inch rainfall, and then I will fill up these terracotta pots in the garden over the season through those dry spells. So I recommend you give them a try. If you've got the money, the fancy store-bought ones are really cool, and they are nice. And they do, I think, work a little bit better than the homemade ones. Their sidewalls are a little thinner, and the water does wick through a little bit better. It's not a huge difference, though. So if what you can do is glue them together, get yourself a tube of liquid nails, and go for it. It is worth it. So I hope you've enjoyed this discussion on clay pot irrigation. I hope it's valuable to you, and I hope you try it. If you liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, let me know what else you'd like to know about. And I'm sure in a future video you're going to see me putting these into different garden beds over the course of the season, because I love these things. So we'll see you next time.